Welcome back to the One More K podcast. We're on episode number 27. Amazing. We're on the roll. My name is Marcus. Glad to be back. We have, of course, Ned Phillips here from Singapore. Good evening, Ned.
Well, almost evening, 5:40. We'll call that evening, just about.
All right. And we have a special guest on the show. Very excited to have Romain with us all the way, I believe, from China. Is that right, Romain?
That's correct. Yeah, Romain Jean de Dieu, Uglow from right now today from China, just arrived. I mean, this is my routine every week. Spend some time in between Hong Kong and China at the factory.
Where exactly in China are you?
We're in Dongguan.
Dongguan, which is in southern China.
So it's in southern China, and it's about an hour train, an hour and a half train from Hong Kong. So it's very, very easy, very accessible. I encourage people to come and visit.
Amazing to have you on the show. As we always say, we are covering anything business, trends in trail running, ultra running, and you have been around the block for many years now. You're not that old, actually, but you must have started very early in your life. So very glad to have you around and cover the latest trends you see happening from the business point of view. Before we start, however, I was wondering, I can see your fingernails painted black, and I was wondering, what is the story behind those fingernails? Or two of them, sorry.
Yeah, actually, it's two of them. It became a trend. And I'm sticking to. Initially, it was an accident. I was doing wake surf, and I injured myself. So I started to paint one, and the other one was a little bit jealous. So I said, I'm going to give you some color as well. And it became something like people were used to see me with it. So I kept on going. I mean, still recovering a bit. So there's a use.
It is the opposite from ultra runners who get black toenails. You get black fingernails.
Yeah, because we sew a lot of products, and we stitch free, I should say. We bound products, so yeah, it's the fingers and not the.
I thought it's kind of because your brand is called Uglow, and you maybe want to have show something with the fingers that are glowing.
I'll probably put some glow in the dark paint. It's a good idea, actually. Thank you, Mark.
Like on a party. What is your brand called? Look at this, Uglow.
Uglow.
Anyway, let's kick it off. We're going to cover, of course, Uglow on the story in depth in a few minutes. But before, we need to follow up on the latest news in the world of trail running. And yeah, we had Hardrock 100 happening all the way in the US. We spoke about it last week with Valentin Orange, another French. We've seen a lot of French people on the podcast. Huh? What do you think, Ned? They're all in this trail world. Huh? How do you feel about that?
Well, considering the French are dominating, I think it's fair enough with, Francois not, but should we dive into it?
Let's go right into it. What happened on Hardrock 100?
I mean, the dude, so the only question is he 49 or 48? It said he's 48, 365 days, but I read in an article something about a leap year. I don't know if he was born on a leap year or something. I don't know. There was some confusion. Some people wrote he was 49. Some people wrote he was 48, 365 days. Anyway, he's not 20. Ludovic Pomeray goes out, wins Hardrock. Now, some people could say Jim wasn't there, that Zach had an operation, that Francois dropped out. You can only beat who turns up on the day. This dude, in his 40s, has won, I think he won UTMB a few years ago. He won Raid, he won Diagonal Defu, and now at 49 winning Hardrock. And Romain, the reason I'm so passionate, I'm 57. I have this belief I run my Ks on my birthday. So I said I'm going to run 100K when I'm 100. But just to see this dude going out, and did you see what he said at the end? This was my dream, and throughout the race, the nightmare never came. So, and he broke the course record. He broke Killian's course record at, let's call it 49.
I think the older, the wiser, and especially on endurance sports like trail running, you just get better. Many athletes, the older they get, they just be able to know themselves better, and they're stronger through the night, stronger through the long and the pain also. There was a French athlete from Hoka, Caroline Chavreau, and she was amazing. She was in her early 50s, I guess. She was still performing amazingly and winning. So expect to do your 100K for your 100 I wish
Let's
you
go.
the best. Yeah, really.
He's on a good track there, Ned. That's a different
Keep
story.
training.
He's been
Different
pushing this.
story. But
Different
Marcus,
story with different podcast.
what did you take away from Hardrock? What I obviously Courtney did amazing, but I
Yeah.
just thought, and Ludovic, I don't know him, but seems like a very good dude. So super happy to see him and also break the course record. But what did you take away, Marcus?
Yeah, I mean, Ludovic, or also called online Ludocrocus, like in terms of ridiculous, crushing the course record, came 3 hours ahead of the second, Diego Pazos. 3 hours is just an incredible time between number one and number two. And number third, Jason Schlarb came in 24 hours 48, so only a few minutes after the second. So, it seems like that Ludovic was just way ahead, and that's amazing. We did predict last week. We had a prediction going on, right? What was our bet, Ned, for Courtney? We said she would come either top 3 or top 5.
Correct. She came fourth.
She came fourth. So we're pretty spot on with her, again, crushing time. It seemed like she struggled a bit throughout. There were some, I watched the live stream sometimes, and she seemed to have some kind of tough times here and there, but she recovered and crushed it as usual.
One thing I did notice, so I turned on the live stream a little, not a huge amount, but a little. At one point, she has the same support crew. Her husband, her dad, this kind of taller dude. I was going to say tall, thin dude, but most ultra runners are thin dudes because if you run 100 miles, it's fair enough. Anyway, Kevin, his name is Kevin something. And at one point, they asked the cameras to back off. And it was interesting to see because Courtney's always given so much access. He did it very politely, respectfully. She was just having a moment in an aid station and she just needed a little bit of, and it's fair, because Courtney gets, but it was interesting. And, she was smiles. It was all, but it was the first, you get that sense that, Courtney really is, I'm not going to say just a school teacher who suddenly got famous, but just a school teacher who suddenly got famous. And, I wonder how overwhelming it is for her because she's obviously a business as well. I think she's clearly understands that this is the time and content sells and she is a brand. But also if she wants to win these races, having a camera jammed in your face the whole race might be hard. It was an interesting little snippet I saw. I think it was, at about 60 or 70 miles, something like that. So maybe that's at one point when she was struggling.
Yeah, that may be the reason.
Didn't struggle enough. I mean, she came in 3 hours ahead of number 2. Camille Bruyas from Salomon and Katharina Hartmut from Hoka came in third in 30 hours. So both winning by a huge margin of 3 hours each. It's unbelievable.
And the question is, so would Zach have beaten Ludovic? We don't know, obviously. Would have been interesting because he broke course record, so he's run faster than Zach's ever run. That would be interesting.
Francois Den dropped out. You kind of talked about it already on the last podcast, Ned, that he's coming back from injury, so not sure how strong he is. But yeah, poor him, had to drop out. But in style, Francois
Did you
style.
see this? Did you see the little snippet of Ludo passing him?
Yeah,
it was so funny. He came up to Francois on a hill. Obviously, on a hill, there's a lot of hills, and he sprinted past him, and they were both laughing. He did it; it's fun, and he kind of said, "Keep up, come on now," and he sprinted up the hill. And obviously, that was not the bit that Francois dropped out, but it was a really cool. Obviously, they're close friends, and he sprinted past him in this uphill section. It was a great little video.
For sure. Nice one. I think that's kind of for us Hardrock for now. I also just on the news docket, I need to provide a clarification. So our podcast is getting bigger and bigger. People push back on what we say, which is good. So 2 episodes ago, we were talking about the Philippines trail running team, and someone from the trail running team reached out telling me that it's not government supported. So I want to clarify here back on the podcast that it's a private endeavor and it's not something that the government is backing right now. So we have been mentioning the Philippines having a national team. It's, however, not national in the sense of government support. It is national in terms of selection process.
But
it is privately backed.
For all the people in the Philippine government who are listening to this, and I'm sure there's lots of them, please give some money to the Philippine non-government supported national running team.
Exactly. Anyway, so that's kind of our clarification here, and we love what they do. So, but thanks for listening and for supporting us in the Philippines. Yeah. All right, Romain, are you ready to go for Uglow?
Always ready.
What made you start this brand and company more than a decade ago?
Yeah, it was a little bit longer than this actually. The company, if I look at the first company I set up and I opened, it was 11 11 11.
Wow.
So it was back in 2011, and I started with the project and the ambition to integrate lighting devices within product, because I was myself a cyclist, and I came back late at night sometime after long hours training during the day. And one day I had an accident. I had a shock with a car, and I jumped over the front of the car, broke my bike, and because of low visibility, and the person obviously didn't see me coming from the back, and started to engage on changing lane. So I always wanted to create something, technology involved. I always wanted to be involved in fashion and apparel and sport. And the idea of combining safety into a sports garment and sport product that people could wear was to me something that came naturally. So I started to design the first product. I was engineering the technology, lighting technology, which was the electroluminescent technology, which is based on phosphor, two electrodes, anode, cathode. It's flat as paper. You cannot really break it. It's waterproof, it's shockproof. It's really good. But I think by the time when we started from, I would say 2012 with this until 2015, because the beginning of Uglow Sport was around 2014, 2015. Actually, what happened is that when we started with Uglow, the first lighting, self-lighting and emitting product, we were doing exhibitions, and we were doing exhibition for the industry, so industrial use, firefighters, police, and we were doing also sports exhibition, because we were selling both products for sport and for industrial use. And whenever we were eating shows on the sports field, people were coming back to us and say, "Hey, that's great, okay, but can you make like windbreakers, t-shirts, shorts, and everything?" So actually, the demand came from the market, and from that moment, because I have absolutely zero, background in, I didn't study design, I didn't go into a fashion school or whatever. I graduated from a business school in France, and very quickly I started to work. So for me, the apparel, the fashion industry was absolutely new. I was absolutely not aware that I would one day open a company in China, a factory in China, own a factory in China, run Chinese people. It's mind blowing. It's actually, when I think about it, it gives me goosebumps, because it's so you need to be so engaged to reach and to be able to manage correctly all this, and it's at the same time passion fueling that drive, but also a little bit of craziness, like curiosity bring you every time into areas that there is something you can discover that you're going to make happen, but it takes that little bit of that risk to move forward. And I think this is what has been like pushing me to always look forward to better, to maybe something new. It's like a bit of the like gambling kind of mindset. You always think like, oh, maybe I'm gonna make it. Maybe it's gonna work. Maybe I get lucky, and you always push further, further, further. It's really related to sport also. Like I think that life and sport, they are all very connected, and the way you run your sport, the way you run your business is also. If there's no madness, if there's no passion and pleasure for pain, you'll get nowhere. You need
I
that.
I
You
love
need,
that bit. That
yeah,
that sorry to interrupt. That bit that you said, that there's no passion or pleasure in pain. It's the
no,
same in startup life and in endurance.
yeah. And I think I've for the very recent years, I've been studying very close, and I feel actually darkness, pain, chaos are all the very needed forces and tough element of life that you need to go through to create amazing stuff and run amazingly or perform amazingly. It just makes you better, at least if it doesn't makes you run or perform better, you appreciate the performance.
I mean, so many golden nuggets you have been just giving us here. And I think both of us, Ned and I, the entrepreneurs, relate to this very much. There's a reason why we call the show One More K, because, you have this kind of mental framework in sports and running. It's just one more K, just push yourself one more time. But the same thing in business, when you also just push yourself one more time, just because there's one more call or there's one more customer you got to take, and you will see it later, it was all worth it. Right? And that's why we have called this podcast One More K.
Absolutely. I think we're 100% in the mindset of that podcast. And sometimes people tell me, oh, it's better to be an employee and you don't need to worry. But actually, when you run a business, you're a slave of that dynamic that you have to obey to if you want to succeed. Potentially, if you want to succeed. Because success comes with a lot of repetition, a lot of not giving up, a lot of pain, a lot of going through stuffing, a lot of not being rewarded when you are with all the stars aligned. And then suddenly you don't know why, boom, the sky's open, bang, and you are almost not prepared and expecting it, and you scored the best performance of your life. And it's the story about sport. Life is really working the same way sports or competition on a smaller level would work.
It makes sense. It feels like now you can't live without this addiction of startup, of entrepreneurship. But can I ask, what did you give up before? Did you give up what you thought was the normal life? So before 11, who was Romain?
So for me to be able to get there and build Uglow, it cost me to run 3 companies at the same time. So long hours, a lot of travels. What you need to know, and very few people know it. So 2014 came the moment where I say, okay, let's build up real product, real collection. And I had a little bit of experience from what the other brands were doing from the outside. And I told myself, let's make it nice. So what do you need to make it nice and start selling it? And it was absolutely something that I knew I would have to work with 3D rendering and things like that. But I didn't have any training. I didn't have any scholarship and nothing. So I just started with a computer game close design software. And I started to design the first Uglow product. This is the way the very first product for Uglow started. And then things kept on going. 2015, I was so married by the time. We had already 2 children, and my ex-wife got a beautiful offer from a company to move to Singapore. So 2014 was the real start of the factory in China. So I was at the same time running Uglow, which is our mother company in Hong Kong. I was opening up the factory in China. I was running the brand Uglow Sport worldwide, shows in the US, UTMB on the summer, Marathon du Mont Blanc in June, exhibition here and there, distributors around the world. Plus, I had another company called Airstar by the time that I was the general manager for, which is a joint venture between Jackie Chan and a French lighting company. So I was managing all this, and at the same time, I set up Uglow and the brand while living in Singapore. So I was like, okay. So of course came a very, very important decision in my life. It was a very big decision, but when we were offered the chance to go to Singapore, I was only thinking about my 2 children and my ex-wife, and which makes sense when you're married, when you're husband, you don't really think for yourself, but you care for the ones you love first, and it came totally logical to do it. But it was absolutely very, very tough from a professional and business perspective, and I was not able to manage things entirely correctly because I was in the plane every week On Monday, I was waking up at 4, 6 a.m. in the plane, 11 a.m. in Singapore. So leaving Singapore, arriving at 11 in Hong Kong, going to Kowloon Bay, my office, signing check, taking another train, going to China, 6 p.m., 7 p.m. in China, checking a little bit my team, going to bed and starting the work in the factory on Tuesday. And pretty much every week it was like that. Friday, the way back, coming back to Singapore, spending weekend in family. So, and developing 2 collections per year, website, team in India. It was really, it was very interesting, very challenging, very interesting. I guess I probably lost a bit of life expectancy at this time of my professional career, but I'm not regretting it because, you know, we did so much. We shared so much. I was able to work with my mother, who lives, and she still lives in France. She was the person in charge of the events for us. So she was running exhibition and shows and preparing everything. So it was so rich, on many levels, and poor on so many others because you don't have time to do everything you want to do or spend time with people you love. But yeah, that's the story of Uglow. So it was a lot of work, and then pretty much going until COVID. You know, going until COVID, and after you were both in Singapore during COVID. I think we know that it was probably easier than some other areas like China. But what I know is that I was not able to travel for 3 years, which has been difficult for me because I was constantly traveling between countries to manage and run the business. And I was very happy to be able to go back to China and then rework again with my team because they needed that support. I was lucky. I was lucky that we had already patterns and collection quite set up, quite fixed. So I was basically, for 3 years, I've been working on more creative side. I've been working on colors research, and we came up with new ideas and new themes, new colorways. But not being able to put my hands on the product and work with them was a little bit detrimental at some point.
Yeah.
And when I came back in 2023, China reopened in February 2023. It was like suddenly freedom. But yeah, in between, I came back to Hong Kong. I divorced. I went through a lot of financial struggle after COVID because what happened is that COVID created such a boom for sports. Cycling industry was booming and running and athleisure, everything was amazing. But what happened after, everybody was overstocked. So everybody started to slash prices. Boom, boom, boom. And then what happened when the biggest companies start slashing prices, like Nike, and after the smaller one, they are going through a harder time. So 2022, 2023 were not really easy, but we managed to pull ourselves out of this situation. And 2024, 2023, mid 2023, we signed an amazing contract, which we can talk about later. But with Lakers.
Just to before we go about what is happening now, we want to hear about your great collaborations you're doing. You just said you pulled yourself out of it, and I was curious because you're not a big brand like Nike or Anta or Adidas. You have to focus on your core somewhere, somehow, and finding your niche. So being in a crisis also helps you to understand where do you want to position yourself and how do you want to go to the market. So what did you realize in the COVID times, how you can add value to the market? Like, how did you focus? Where did you focus on?
Absolutely. And this is a question, an answer that I skipped during my very long answer, and I apologize, but thank you for bringing me back on track. When I created Uglow Sports, like the sports line and collection as you see now, I asked myself, of course, a lot of questions, and many questions were like, should we keep the same brand? What do we do with the logo? Do we stick to the glow feature thing? So I had to process all those things, those questions. I was also running more at the time, like trail running, and I had like chafing issues and comfort issues. I remember, so I decided to stick to Uglow, and we created a new entity called Uglow Sports because it was really like more sportive and competitive side of the business for us. And what I decided to do is to remove the lighting technology because it was heavy and a burden for any kind of runner trying to perform. And we kept all the reflective logos. So all the products are built in. Even if you see colored logo, they're all reflective at night, which is we kept the safety feature from the origin of the brand. That's our real DNA. We are glowing, but we're not only glowing from a physical material perspective, we're also glowing as human, as people, with colors, with a nice mindset, and we're the happy running people, I would say. But that's the idea. It's like you glow. We want to do good. We design great products. We make people feel amazing. And why? And you will have the answer right now. Is that when I started Uglow Sports, my concern was to thank you for showing us the website. My concern was like, how do we create a space for ourselves on a market that is saturated? That was my question. And I used to say that the brain is nicely well developed and conceived because you sometimes go at night in bed with a question and you wake up with the answer. And I build up all the pieces of the puzzle very, very quickly. And then I came up like I was looking at the market by the time in 2014, 2015, everybody was going with compression. Everybody was doing with compressive stuff, compress pore, compress me, compress us. I was like, okay, we decompress. We go the opposite. That's the trend. Like if you really want to shock the market, you go totally the opposite. And that's what I did. And I think we're still so far, but back in the days, we're still the first brand producing the complete collection. I emphasize on the terms because some people do 100% stitch-free product, but we build a whole collection, a whole pack of products, short t-shirt, jacket, and everything, stitch-free. And you don't have any other brand doing it like as completely as we do because it's extremely expensive. Now, it's very interesting that you need to look at, and that's a real market work here, marketing work. Am I creating sufficient value? Is my price right? Am I creating sufficient value? Is the comfort that I promise to my customer with my 100% stitch-free gear found and justified? And this is very, very hard to feel the market, because you need to put yourself in people's mind. Do people realize that, like when I see a Hoka shoes, I see the fixed sole and I'm like, okay, that's super comfortable. I get the picture. When you see a Uglow, and that's something that is a trend and feature from the apparel business. People will not go straight and tell themselves, oh, amazing comfort. I need this to perform at my highest level. It's slightly different because there is less technology compared to the shoe or compared to the jacket. So for instance, on the jacket side, when we make a jacket with a technical and functional membrane, it's easier for us to sell it and it sells better because there is all this technology marketing backing the product as it is for the shoe business. But when you want to sell a t-shirt, I mean, we probably sell some of the most comfortable products because people, when they use our product, they tell us like, I feel like I left home. I forgot something. I ran naked today. For me, I mean, it's not comfortable to get this feeling, but it's the greatest feeling as a runner to feel free, to go and running like you wear nothing. You feel light. You don't feel your clothes. You don't have any, limitation in your movement. And to me, that's a compliment. That's one of the greatest feelings. So I think that what we have achieved with Uglow in terms of technology and physical feeling with the product, the way people, when they wear the product, they behave and they feel, I think we succeeded. And I think what is hard is still that the perception of value, technology, and the way to make people understand and train people on 100% stitch-free technology, because there are many different technologies, like we know the stitching, we know the circular knitting, like the compressive product, which are knitted circularly by tubes. And there is our technology, the bonding technology. So this is what I went through, that whole process when I created Uglow. I really wanted to attack the market and being totally different, because by being different, you create your own DNA, you create your own position, and you enter the market with a reason to exist that no one has taken.
It's we haven't spoken before, but I'm quite blown away by your soul and passion. Like every entrepreneur has soul and passion, but you talk about it in this pain type of way, in this chaos type of way, in almost, like I don't know, a Buddhist soulful type of way. Do you feel just at the end of your what you were saying there, you spoke about DNA. Is Uglow your DNA now?
I think Uglow is part of me, or yeah, Uglow is a part of me. Is a part of what I want to give people.
Was this did you always have this philosophy?
Yeah,
Because it
yeah.
feels like a philosophy. When you talk about Uglow, I don't get the
I
sense you're talking about a product. To me, you're talking about your philosophy, which comes through your product. Is that always how you were?
I think you always need to buy a ticket to heaven somewhere. Then you got to pay the price somewhere in this life. So my way to create happiness in my life, like a chef would create happiness in people's life by cooking the most amazing meal. My happiness is really to, have people to enjoy product when they wear it and they perform with it. Because for me, I come from the sports, the competition. And for me, I was very, very particular with any kind of problem on my bike, on my clothes, on my glasses, on everything. So having someone telling me, wow, I felt so light, so great, and in communion with the product, and this product is amazing because I have no pain, I have no chapping. If I can just remove part of that process of pain in their process, take it away from what I was able to create and illuminate their path, because it's all about glowing, it's all about light. There's a lot of religious references here, but yeah, it fills me with joy. And I feel very disappointed, but this is a very constructive critics when people tell me, I don't like this on your product. And in the beginning, it's hard, but most of the time it's constructive. So you gotta go
You've
back
got
to
to,
it, rework. But yeah,
and how much, so it gives you joy to make these products for people. How much pain are you willing to take for that? Because as an entrepreneur, it's a lot of pain.
there is this mix of yeah, it has to be balanced at some point. The perfect balance has to be reached if you want to sustain through the years. If there is an imbalance somewhere, if you're not able to recover on weekends, at night, or with your family or with friends, or you don't have sufficient, financial reward from it, the imbalance starts to generate chaos, and some way it's not,
You,
it's easy to perform at your max, I would say.
I, I don't know if you said it or I heard it. You said ambulance and imbalance. Whether I heard ambulance,
No, I
and I don't
corrected, I
mean that.
corrected, I
Yeah, but I
corrected
don't
it.
mean that. I don't mean that in any criticism. Your English is perfect, but I actually think it's a really good word. I was an entrepreneur, still am, and I went through some really difficult times. And at times, I thought I needed an ambulance. I must admit, I was
I
so
mean,
embarrassed. I've never thought
me,
about those two words in connection, but I sense that you've felt, whether it's in bike riding, ultra running, or running a startup, you felt that knife edge of im, being unbalanced. Maybe is
you
the
you
term.
you yeah, you always have to, running a company, it's like riding. You need to be always on your 2 feet stable and trying to find the perfect balance and speed to cruise and keep everybody happy around you, because if they are not, then you don't perform. If you are not, probably you are the reason why they're not happy. So there's a lot of health and mental health work that I have to do, like many other people, like many other entrepreneurs, like many other human and work employees and so on. But I know that for my part, if I'm not very strict with myself on this, it's very hard to go in the wrong direction, and I start having ideas I do not create the product correctly. I don't see far enough to understand what the right product is about for this particular use, for this particular athlete, for this particular condition. So sport is key. Mental health, keeping yourself heads above the water, sane and healthy. It's super important. And yeah, like I went through tough times. Probably, I don't know when, but COVID was hard for me. It was a lot of personal things that created a lot of pain and sadness in me. But the great thing is that they are here for you to learn and to grow. The songs goes by what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and I think it's a great example. If we're still here, it's that we were right for that charge, that load, and that growth. And I'm super grateful for today. Coming out of all these
Yeah.
things and being able to again create and see far for what's the best product and design. And I'm very happy because I have ideas coming next year, new designs, new products that are going to revolutionize, I think, again, the industry with new features.
Talking about pain, I mean, I started Lekker Nutrition 4 years ago in Vietnam, and a bit like you, we decided to have our own factory as well and produce our own energy bars and so on. And we also are a brand to, sell to consumers.
Yeah.
We have learned through pain that I don't want to keep a factory, and we have a factory partner now, so we can focus on the brand. In your case, you still keep both a B2B business where you're working with other brands and you manage your own brand, Uglow Sports. What do you see through those two perspectives in terms of trends by working with other brands? And I would love to hear who you're working with there. And what do you see by being your own brand? Like, though you're almost wearing two hats here.
Yeah. For me, yeah, it was in the beginning when I started to create one entity and decided to bring family and friends as part of investor in the other company. I saw very quickly that we needed to be fast to develop further the technology, 100% bonding, which is Uglow Sports DNA. We had to hit the market very quickly. We had to run our own production to protect our technology. And the name of the game was to go really fast and create a bang. And unfortunately, it was not a big bang, but it was Uglow bang. And it was good enough, probably right enough for the size that I was capable to take. But in the beginning, I had 2016, I had on CEOs like David Aleman and Olivier Bernard. They came to see me in USA on the running event, and they said, "Wow, what you do is amazing. We want to work with you." And they didn't have developed any upper line yet, and they were really interested because what they saw in Uglow by the time was exactly what they wanted to do, was the 100% stitch free. And then Olivier Bernard started to test our Uglow product, and he told me with his sister, and he told me, "Look, I like the product, but I don't believe that 100% stitch free is the right thing. I believe that it has to be bonded but stitched also as a mix of both technology, which we have today in Uglow. It's called UGS. It's a lower range because it's faster to produce and cheaper. But On went different way, and then by the time I was still in the beginning of Uglow, so a lot of traveling, and I was not able to take that much volume. But we get to work with companies because the production tool is a real perfect tool for you to run your own innovation and create D2C products that are lethal, that are absolutely crazy. Because I think I own probably one of the, not many people know, but I own probably one of the world record, like from taking order live online to delivery at people's door. I think I did 7 days. So I was creating the product from Singapore digitally online on Facebook, on private groups. We were finalizing the product graphic wise with people. I was putting the product online, taking pre-orders, sending the order directly to my factory. My guys starting to print, producing the product within 7 days from computing the 3Ds and taking the orders from customer worldwide. Huh? And 7 days we were having the product delivered to their place, which is crazy. I remember that time we probably had just 200 orders, but it was an amazing test of robustness for the Uglow factory and my IT team. And so one, it's a very good tool, very strong tool to have your factory, because your hands on your own product, your own innovation, your own assets. And this is the biggest dream for most of the big brands. Some, they have this tool, they own it in their own country. Some they don't. And I'm going to come further to the discussion about who we work with at the moment. But for me, so the brand itself powered the factory. So the brand ordered to the factory, and the factory was using the brand as a representative, as a sell tool, because everybody could see Uglow Sports outside on UTMB, running event in Texas, America, everywhere in Asia, and they knew that the Uglow factory was producing it. So they were both very synchronized and very depending on one another and bringing business to one another. So that led us to a large agreement with Dekers Group. So Dekers Group is an American company. It's a 25 billion valued company on Nasdaq. It's 4 to 5 billion US dollar turnover each year. And there is one main brand powering up this group. It's Hoka at the moment. So within Dekers Group, you have Hoka, Uggs, Teva, Sanook, and some other brands. Hoka, it's an amazing spaceship. It's an amazing brand, which within 10 years went from 15 to 17 million to 2 billion turnover this year.
Wow.
Just a little plug for the episode. We had analyzed, I think, these various shoe conglomerates in previous episodes. We compared Decas, we compared the whole Salomon Anta world. So yeah, we've been digging into this. So it's very cool now to hear from your perspective how you work with Decas, or especially with Hoka. Like, what's going on?
Jean-Luc Diard is a former CEO of Salomon. He's the founder of Hoka with Nicolas Mermoux. And when they sold the company to Dekers, when Dekers took over, Jean-Luc became an amazing asset for Dekers, and he became the vice president of innovation for Dekers. So he's running all the projects, all mixed together, shoe and apparel, to run the innovation at Dekers Group. And today Jean-Luc is my mentor, obviously, and we have the chance to meet on different exhibition and a different time of the year. And Jean-Luc have been following Uglow from the very beginning, because we met Jean-Luc, we were in 2015 with the very first collection, and we started to work on few prototypes for Hoka by the time. We did some small production for the US market, for the online business. We worked on few research and development here and there. And like many other companies, starting from the shoe business, they want to go into the apparel. And Dekers didn't have really, I would say, a district or a department for apparel. They were working with different suppliers, and they were looking for something very advanced, very special, very high-end. And Jean-Luc and I, while talking, we realized that we were a good match. We realized that Uglow, with the high frequency bonding technology, laser cutting, with everything that I had done for the last 10 years, was actually what today was very, very valuable for what they were looking for to develop the coming 5 years of their apparel divisions. And so we signed a few years agreement with Dickers. And today we work on all the apparel research and development projects, and most products for them. And we also develop products. So there are a few divisions. You have to understand it's a large group. So you have a main group that is called Dickers Lab, which is the top division creating everything and anything. They create everything. It's like there is no limit for whatever we want or whatever we believe is great and in the future. So this is what we work on. And after you work also with the brand separately. When the product from the Dickers Lab is approved, you work with the brand separately. And then also you work with the athlete, you work with the racing team. So there is a lot of different people involved, and that led us 2 weeks ago during the I think it was 2 weeks ago during Western State to see Jim running with our product that were done here at the factory, product from using our technology and some of the French technology as well. Produced like fabric produced in France with special technology, produced specially for Jim to cool him down during one of the hottest races in the world.
That must have felt pretty good.
I guess when we saw that he won, it was an amazing feeling. It was beautiful again, I think, because the work we do, there is a China team involved, there is an American team involved, there is my team involved, and there is a French team involved. And we do all things for one athlete. And when that athlete on the same day on top of that delivers an amazing performance, it's a consecration. It's a congratulation for everyone. It's a great feeling.
Is Deckers now is it the right French word, raison d'etre? Like, would Deckers be your business today without giving away too much secret, or are you producing for quite a wide range and they're just one of your clients?
Deckers is one of our clients. Deckers is today a part of the resources used here. It's definitely it's hard to quantify, but I would say 50%. The rest is absolutely dedicated to new customer, Uglow production, and some other ideas and projects that we have on total different grounds, on total different direction. I'm still dreaming about a lifestyle brand, dreaming about a swimwear brand. So I have those crazy fantasies and dreams of bringing new product, because here it's really a lab where you wake up in the morning and say, oh, boom, I want to do this crazy waterproof product, and I see it like this. And you conceptualize it on paper or in 3D, and at the end of the day, you have it.
Yeah, but not only can you conceptualize that, you can say to other companies, I'm building for Hoka, for Deckers. Like, it is so important. And I must admit, I looked at your website, lots of great things. And you have this collection that I'm going to call one of the most beautifully named collections I think I've seen. So I don't do Hardrock and I don't do Spartan, but you named it Warrior. And I think that's just a masterstroke because I also think Hardrock, to me, they use Photoshop. If you look at the photos that come out of Hardrock, people looked more chiseled than they really are. So I'm not saying anything here, but they've either got a great cameraman or every single person that does Hardrock looks absolutely ripped all the way through. But I think this brand, and I'd be interested on your thought of that, because was that part of your new product? Was it Warrior? Let's go.
So Warrior is it's a continuity of the market evolution. A lot of people are doing Spartan. A lot of people are doing different product now. They do cross training and everything. Warrior is the Spartan range for Uglow. So we have developed, we put new fabric, the same DNA, the same construction for the product, but different fabric to really sustain, crazy stages like Spartan and any kind of like obstacle races. And we call it Warrior. And I wanted to put a big gladiator helmet logo on it. And my team told me, no, it's probably too much. Just keep the warrior things and make the logo smaller. But I really wanted to make something brutal.
Where are you going to take this?
What's going on at the moment with the project, the innovation project with Hoka, there is a lot of products coming on and lining up and that we have to work on and develop for the coming years, coming months, coming years. New fabric, new technology. We've been working with spatial material like isolation material that we used to put in spacesuit. We went that far on working on making people protection against cold for winter condition, harsh winter condition. So we're gonna push the innovation to the max, because I know that the people we're working with on the American side, they are as passionate as what we are, and they have resources by being a big group and access to suppliers like we wouldn't be able to. So we're gonna really continue opening up everything we have and everything we can do with them to associate both resources and skills to bring and push the industry, the sports and the trail running industry to the best we can, by reducing weight, by making product cooler, by making product warmer for winter condition, by just pushing boundaries of what is possible for an athlete to perform at his best. Uglow is going to continue to develop because we have new collection coming up by next year that we are producing at the moment. So 2025 is going to be a back to life kind of year for us, even though like 2024 is good. But 2025 we're really going to be stronger with new marketing, new photo shooting, new range, new collection, new colors, and this is going to on social media. So I'm quite looking forward to this, because following the COVID years, it has been, we kind of like faded into a place where we were like, we're still here, but not really active, I have to say.
One more question on material innovation. Sorry to interrupt you there, because I was recently learning about this. The state of Colorado in US, they recently introduced a ban to PFAS ban, which basically is a layer on the likes of Gore-Tex rain jackets. Yeah. So I was wondering how those regulations of governments in terms of plastic, supply chain, are impacting you on the business side and the material side.
It does impact us, and I used to say that wherever you have a problem, there is a way to find something else, and we are lucky in this department. So if they remove the PFC, which are Teflon based material, so they contain fluor, and fluor is extremely toxic for nature, and that's why those membranes, they are more and more forbidden and removed from nature, because we realize that the treatment, the DWR, the durable water repellent treatment that you have, the coating you have on your jacket, it fades away and it goes down through the droplets from rain back to the soil, to the nature, and that's extremely dangerous. So alternative to this are the design, changing the product design, putting some more vents, using polyethylene membranes. You can have waterproof fabric, waterproof function without using Teflon. But at some point you will probably lose a little bit of breathability. So that breathability has to be balanced with a different structure, a different architecture, offering better ventilation, better breathability. And also you have different waterproof textile that are the companies that are working on the waterproofing treatment are also working with more natural treatment now. And this is really something that is growing and getting better also in that department.
It really sounds like you have put 13 years of effort, but I'm sure it's still a struggle today, but it sounds like you found a good path. I mean, obviously, I'm sure like any business, there's a lot more in there, but it's been super impressive to hear about what you've done with that business, having Hoka Deckers with all these different collections. It's great to hear. I have maybe a final question. I hope it's okay. Has
Yeah.
being an entrepreneur made you a better athlete or a better person?
Better athlete, I'm not sure. I think I reduced a lot sport compared to what I was doing before, but now I'm coming back to a regular daily training, which is absolutely not endurance training anymore. I'm a very tall person, and Marcus met me once. I'm big, I'm strong. I'm close to 100 kilos, so I don't run. It's not right for me to run. It just hurts. Like it hurts the joints, the bone, and everything. So I enjoy water sports. Uh, has it made me better athlete? No, but I feel like good with the sport, like cross training, a lot of CrossFit, a lot of water sport, or cycling. Cycling is very good. Better person. At some point, I can be evil because there is a part that alienate you in making all the pieces of that organization, all the gears work together. But you quickly go back to that place that is you, that is the person that is great, that wants good, that does good, and people know you're good. So it has made me a better person, and I'm very proud to be still here, to be talking with you, and to be the person and the
I,
entrepreneur that I am today, because it's wonderful to meet so many different profiles and to create.
it is super cool listening to you, man, because we've spoken for an hour. You've spoken about your product a little, but you've spoken about the purpose and the passion and what you feel even more, which to me is what makes me, if I think about it now, I would go out and buy Uglow. Obviously, I've had this privilege to talk to you, but I can feel what you put into it. And I think that's essential. If you read, whether you read any of the books about great companies, there's that real passion. So again, I didn't know you before, but you seem like a good human today. And I think if you keep pouring that passion into it, I know business is hard, but I'm sure
Yeah,
it's good to see.
business is, yeah, yeah. I mean, you're right. You're spot on. Business is hard. You got to keep fighting, and that's what takes you a part of the greatness that you have in you, because you cannot be nice all the time. You are not nice with yourself first if you want to perform. You have to hurt yourself. Remember to
Yeah, yeah,
push further, and it's very
but you
cool.
don't. It's true. You can't always be kind to yourself.
No,
You can be hard in business, but still be kind, right? I think there's that phrase.
yeah.
It's the person that entrepreneurs are often the hardest on is themselves. That is, somebody said to me one time when my business was shutting, try to be kind to yourself. And it's hard, right? It is hard sometimes to be kind to yourself when, it can be hurting your family, it can be hurting yourself, it can be hurting. So, I think people should always be kind and nice to employees, even when you're making tough decisions, even if you're letting people go, even if you're doing hard things. But I think it does make you better as a human overall. Like you said, you want to be great, you got to do hard stuff, man. And it sounds like,
Exactly.
yeah,
I think as a conclusion, my conclusion at least, and it's very personal, and I don't need to share agreements with people, but when you realize how you achieve greatness and how you're able to go through that race, that night, that life, that career, it's all about the love you carry for yourself. It's so important to really give kindness to yourself first. That it's not about being selfish. It's really because you are the first commander in charge. And if you don't respect that, I mean, for many years, I didn't respect that enough. I was really mean to myself, hating things that I was doing because it was too stressful. But when you start taking care of yourself, like physically, mentally, and your lives change. The way you create, the way you see things, your relationship with yourself and with others change, and ultimately your business change, your performance change, your finances change,
Mm.
everything change. And that's the beauty and the conclusion. It's all about love, and that's universal energy that once you carry that fire within you,
I think that's a beautiful
that's
place
beautiful.
to. I think that's a beautiful place to wrap it up, man. I think you're right. If you carry that love forward, well, look. It has been an absolute pleasure to hear about it. Listeners, if you
Thank
are
you.
invested in Uglow, definitely. Marcus, I mean, we'll put that in the show notes, right?
100%. We are going to put this all of our social media, of course, to the millions of followers we have. But no, of course, I mean, I think those stories are captured. They're on YouTube as well. So I'm excited to actually revisit this conversation with you in some time to come and look what happened then, and also to follow your journey. I think I love your journey. I love what you do. And those conversations are only snapshots of the present, but we're going to talk again sometime soon and see how things are going then. And we can probably record a few more minutes or hours of the conversation where all of us are entrepreneurs, passionately doing things, but also we have to be respectful and kind to the time. So unfortunately, we're going to wrap it up for now. But again, I have a good feeling that we're going to revisit this soon and talk more. So thank you, Romain, for joining us for the One More K
Thank you,
podcast.
Marcus.
It's a pleasure having you.
And Ned.
For sure. Now, the last part of this conversation is the Ned's drop. That is Ned's little time for poetry, time for inspiration and wisdom. So, Ned, I'm handing over to you for the drop of episode 27.
Well, I didn't know that this conversation with Romain would go this way to talk about the pain, the suffering, the journey. I sent this little, so each week, Romain, I write a little just thought piece about endurance, suffering, life. It is just a few words. But I wrote it about a run I did last weekend, and I wrote it about the suffering. And Marcus, I sent it to another friend of mine, and he wrote it, oh, wow, brutal poetry. And I'd never thought about that. I hope it's not too brutal. I hope it's okay. So this is a small piece of writing. I attempted to run 200K this weekend, which is something I've done before, but I was practicing for backyard, which is, 6.7K an hour on the hour. I am aiming to do 48 hours in the World Championships in October. So I'd set off for a 30-hour training run, 30 hours of 6.7K on the hour. I bailed at 12 hours, which is quite short for me, and I felt a little sad about it. So I wrote a little poem about it. Here we go. It's called That Sucks. That sucks when you take the first step and you know it's not your day. Something feels off. Tell your head it's fine, but we are taught to suffer. So how do you know if it's time to stop, right? It's nothing. 1 hour, 2 hours, 5 hours. That feeling grows in your stomach, in your legs. It moves way up to your head. Maybe not today. Put on the music. It's fine. The music, it's fine. Smile. Hour 7, hour 8. I feel good. Tunes blasting, caffeine in, everything's good, right? Tell yourself it's good. Hour 10, hour 11. Okay, I realize it's not running or suffering that sucks. It's reality. The reality that stopping is coming, that you aren't right, that you aren't well, that you won't hit your goal. The stride shortens, the stomach rebels, the mind fights back. The watch winks. Do you like dem apples? I do, but not today. Slowly, the walking starts, and the reality wins. You stop. That moment, that exact stopping moment. I leaned on the railing. Just before midnight, I stopped. Sure, I should have known. I was sick for the whole week before this run. I was only better for 1 day. But hey, LFG, right? I stopped. I limped home. Sad, smiling. Reality. It sucks. Not finishing a run actually doesn't suck. It's amazing. You got out there. Imagine you never got out. That would suck. Get out there, Ned.
Nice.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Merci. That's good.
So many, analogies. Business is just getting out there and just trying it. I mean, just imagine you wouldn't have tried doing the business or doing the run.
I I had food poisoning Monday to Wednesday. I felt better on Thursday, and I was going to do 200 calories. And I did feel better. I kept telling myself I felt better. And I did. And I took the first step on Friday, midday. I was like, oh, man, come on. And you trick yourself. And a bit like, entrepreneurship, when you're running out of cash, you tell yourself, no, it's okay. I'll be fine. And
It's
you're like,
not. You go.
it's fine. Stop. And, I think that's the point. Reality sucks. Sometimes you just have to will yourself. And being an entrepreneur, if you stopped every time reality told you to stop, man, you would stop really quickly.
You will probably not even start. And I think that's the beauty. That's the beauty of reality. Sometimes, like, you really think it's not going to be okay and you're not going to pass, but actually you start. And the fact that you start, suddenly there is that mechanism that start, and you score one of your best moment out there. And this is very, very special. Or sometimes not, but you gotta go out and
But
face
if
it.
you always knew it was going to be awesome, it'd be no fun, right? It's no fun. Like,
Yeah,
you've got to have that shitty moment. You've got to have that. Of course, if
yeah,
it was always crap, that would be terrible. But it's not always going to be crap, right? You know what the
no,
worst thing is? I love this phrase. If you think adventure is dangerous, try routine. It's lethal. I love that
yeah,
phrase.
totally.
That's
That's
nice.
great. That's a great motivation to get out there. Yeah.
All right,
Awesome.
gents. Thank you so much for the episode. Really cool.
Thank
Thank
you.
Romain for joining again. And we stay in touch. Yeah, everyone
Absolutely.
out there, thanks for listening to episode number 27, brought to you by Lecker Nutrition. We appreciate the listen. We appreciate the follow. Reach out, give us feedback, whatever it is. Thank you so much.
Lots of love. Take care, people. Bye.